Hi there. We're going to do a what sold video focusing on the month of May. And we're going to focus on items that sold over $50. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Here we have a Lucky 13 men's black medium jacket. I've only found a few pieces of this Lucky 13 brand, and they've all done pretty well for me here. It's got a cool skull bones. Lucky 13 on the back. I think they call that kind of like a Jolly Roger. I think you kind of see on like a pirate ship or something like that. But we got this from a local thrift store here, and I think I was into it for like $2 or $3, and it ended up selling for $66. So that was great. If you come across this, definitely be worth picking up. Next up are a pair of Danskos. These shoes sell really well for us. Don't run across them all the time, and sometimes when we run across them, they are in pretty rough condition. But they are highly sought after. Shoes sell well, as anyone on any reselling platform will let you know. We sold these ones for $75.90. That's a really nice shoe. Okay. Let's see, maybe you can see a little bit of the closer up here. They're in pretty good shape. Next up, we have this KitchenAid meat grinder attachment, complete with vintage food chopper. This is vintage. It's KitchenAid. KitchenAid sells really well. If you ever come across it, especially the vintage stuff, this meat grinder was in great condition for its age. If you look at it, there's yeah, older piece. You see kind of this older KitchenAid label here. Yeah, so I know this is going to be something that's going to be hard to come by if this attachment, and if you want to replace it, especially for a meat grinder, these can kind of get a little bit of wear onto them. But this was in great condition, and honestly, we found this thing at Goodwill for I think $2.99, and it ended up selling just in just a few days for $104. So it was a really excellent find, excellent buy. Always pick up KitchenAid if you can find it. It's not that it's out there a whole lot, at least not in our area, but something older and vintage like this on a KitchenAid piece is definitely something you would like to kind of keep your eye out for. Next is a vintage wildwood porcelain brass bunny rabbit table lamp. This was amazing. We were actually vacationing at the time up in Sandusky, Ohio, and whenever we're out vacationing, we always like to check out the local Goodwills just to see what they have. And we ran across this bunny, and I immediately noticed it. And I had seen stuff similar in the past, and they had $25 on it, which for us is kind of high to pay for anything at a thrift store. But I knew that it would sell well. I didn't know that it would sell so quickly. I think we set on this for maybe a week, and I think we dropped the price on it a little bit, just because we had the 25 into it and we wanted to move it. But this wildwood porcelain brass bunny, I'm not going to say that this is something that you're going to run into all the time, but this was just something cool for us, and it was a really good flip. So yeah, you know, kind of having your eye on a little bit of everything helps. And if you don't know, it's always helpful to have your phone and look up different items, especially something that's interesting or different that you don't feel like you normally see, because you never know what it'll sell for. 25 in, 203 out, and it only took a couple days, and the buyer paid shipping. So yeah, this was a really good flip for us. Next up, a vintage Magnus electronic chord organ. Um, This I found for $5.95 at a little honey hole that we have here in Lima, Ohio. It is a little family ran thrift store. Oddly enough, I've seen a couple of these in there. I bought them up and they have all sold for me. So yeah, like $5.95 into it. It's kind of big, it's kind of tough, but if the buyer pays for the shipping, I don't mind. You know, a little bit of the shipping materials, a little bit of elbow grease, and you get it in there. But for 5.95, and we sold it for 69.30. Those are good margins for us, even with the cost of shipping and the time that it took to package it. Uh, I'll take that. Let me get a little closer look at it. It actually did have a little bit of damage here, even on the keys. It ended up not mattering. I'm not really sure what goes into the thought of wanting to get this. Here's the sign of Magnus. But yeah, just checked the comps on it, so seeing what they were selling for, and then didn't really mind having to take the time to do the shipping and a little bit of cost on the packing materials. But yeah, 5.95 in, I think something like that, and it was 69.30 on the payout. Next up, all right, cool wrestling shirt. These awesome 90s early Y2K wrestling shirts. This is a Stone Cold Steve Austin vintage Stone Cold Steve Austin 316 Venom Snake. Sold for 94.50. Picked this up at a Goodwill. Goodwill's prices here on shirts I think are 2.45. So we had $2.45 into this shirt. It had this really great graphic. All these old wrestling shirts sell really well. They have a huge fan base. This one was actually even missing its tag. Didn't end up mattering. People want to collect these old shirts. Huge wrestling fans around the country, really globally. They all get into this wrestling stuff. Stone Cold is a good one to look out for. He's got a big fan base. But yeah, 2.45 in, and we got $94 out of it. So yeah, and we did drop the price. It looks like it was at like 135, and we probably could have held that and eventually got it. If you look out there, you will see them selling for that. But if we have it for a certain amount of time, if it hasn't sold, we'll run sales and deals on it because we are in the business of moving product and in sales, and I'm not really in the business of collecting wrestling shirts. But this was a cool one. I was a huge Stone Cold fan uh, back when I was in middle schooler. Stone Cold Steve Austin was a huge wrestler back then, and a lot of the other kids really loved him. So that nostalgia feel for somebody that's in their, late 30s, mid 40s, or any wrestling fan really, because he's still around. You'll see him do interviews, or I think he may even have a podcast at this point, like everybody does. But awesome flip. Again, this one didn't have its tag. The graphic was pretty good. A little washed on the black there, but that might have just been some of the. It had a little bright light on this one when we took the picture. But 2.45 in and $94 out, so pretty good. This is a Cassandra Brew Beagle Dog puppy with Bone sign. It was signed. It was from 1992, and he just has the cutest little face here. Yeah, he's an adorable little guy. There's some wear there on the paint. It looked like, but it was from 92, so it's kind of older. We all got a little bit of wear on us from that time. Here's the signature. There's the bottom overall. He was in pretty good shape. Had the little felt on the bottom, keeping him safe there. And I've got this at a Goodwill here, and I think I paid $5 for him. And I probably had him for 2 or 3 months on this one, so we sat on him longer than we probably would have liked to. But the comps out there were good for him, so we didn't want to get rid of him too soon. So we did have him up at 120, it looks like, and then we dropped that down. He ended up selling for 81.60. But for $5 in, I'm getting $81 out of him. I thought that was a pretty good. Thought that was a pretty good flip. Can't really beat that. Again, there's that face. That face is probably what sold it. All right, this is a vintage Art Deco glass swirl lamp, MCM mid-century modern brass. Underwriters Laboratories is doing the electrical work there and that, and it's just a beautiful lamp. If you look at this cool flow on the top here, It's just gorgeous. And this we had for about, I would say we had this for about 48 hours before it sold. And on this lamp, I think we paid $6 on the lamp at the Goodwill. There were no chips on it. It was a really interesting looking lamp. And you can tell by the wiring on some of these lamps when you're looking for older lamps. If you know, you've seen older lamps, if you've been around, you can tell what the older ones look like. But I would say that this gorgeous Art Deco style glass lampshade on top would have had a lot to do with why it sold. And what did I say? I think we were probably $6. It might have been like $6.99 in on this. I can't remember exactly, but we didn't take any offers. Put it up for 175. Had it for about 48 hours, and it sold. And it was a really good flip. So I'll give you a couple more pictures here on it. Will come up. There we go. There's the top. There's the side. There's another angle with it off. So, it's something that you kind of have to go with your gut on something like this. You had to know. But it was just gorgeous. And so we couldn't pass it up. It looks like other people felt the same way here. So yeah, beautiful lamp. 175. So this is a little die-cast truck, a little 56 Ford F100 pickup truck. We probably picked this up for, I think we actually paid $10 for this truck at the Goodwill. They had a bunch of other ones there that were also, they were going for a little more, and they had them inside of their boxes, their original boxes. I don't think you can see it on this one, but the rear view mirror, I believe, on the passenger side was broken off. And so, although we saw some really nice comps on it, and we did have it up at 125, we ended up taking a best offer of $90 on it. But it was so cool. The pinstriping there is really nice. These cool older trucks are awesome. There's a huge market out there for people that want diecast model trucks like this. There are a lot of them, so I can't specifically point you in the direction of any particular brand or truck. This one is one that we just happened to come across. It was half the cost of the other trucks, and I picked it up for about $10, and it ended up selling for 90. You see, look, maybe even a little bit of damage there on the roof there. Tires were in good shape, nice heavy. The colorway is awesome. That kind of lavender purple on the outside and kind of the sharper purple on the body. So yeah, I think $10 in, and we got $90 out of that. So it was also a good flip for us. Vintage Minolta SRT 102. This is a camera that was made in Japan. A lot of cameras out there, not a lot of them are worth a whole lot of money. It kind of just go ahead and run the comps on your phone. It'll have all the information on the camera there for you that you need. Just pull up your eBay app. Sometimes even the lenses will be different, so go ahead and check the what kind of lens or model is on the lens of the camera. And sometimes you can piece these out, and then you could sell the body, and then you could sell the lens, and then you can get more for your money there. We ended up keeping these ones together. This is a really, really sharp looking camera. I imagine the mechanics on it are really nice. Give you a couple more pictures here, highlight those. There's another good look at the lens. And it looks like there might have been a little bit of damage on that lens, but the buyer didn't seem to mind. There we go. Vintage Minolta. So for a camera like this, I probably would have paid $3 for it, and we got $86 out of it. So those are really obviously really good margins for us. Sometimes we'll sit on the cameras a little longer than we'd like. I probably had this camera for a few months. Not exactly sure how long we had it. I would say under 6 months because the price was still pretty decent on it. Although almost down by half, so it may have hit that 6 month mark and we may have dropped price on it. So more likely what happened. But yeah, probably $3 into this camera, and we ended up selling it for 86. All right, last here we have this super cool sweatshirt that we got. We did a bundle from a vintage store out of Florida where we paid about $200. I think it was maybe $250 for about 30 or so different really old cool vintage sweatshirts, and most of them have sold for over $50 at this point, so we're definitely well into the profit on them. Some of them took some work, some of them we had to clean up a bit. Some are actually not even usable, but we've made great money on the ones that were. This one was super cool. I'm sure. What a cute little doggy face. Huge boxer fan. You can kind of see this on the shoulder, how this stitch comes across like this instead of just down. It has all the indications of a real vintage sweater. But yeah, again, we got this out of a bundle, where we had about 30 or so different sweatshirts in it. We did pay up for it about $250, but definitely worth it. Definitely making our money back on all of it. And I think that's all for the month of May for our solds that were over $50. We'll go through them again real quick if you'd like. $66 on a Lucky 13 men's jacket. Danskos shoes, $75. Most everything here was bought for under $10. I think the only thing that ended up being at $10 was the vintage truck. So there we go. There's KitchenAid mixer. And you can see kind of like our knowledge is a mile wide and an inch deep on a lot of this stuff. You know, we're not scared to mess with any particular item. We don't have any particular niche. Maybe somewhere down the road we'll be able to do that. But right now, we're just kind of growing our selection, growing our inventory, expanding our knowledge. It's always fun to get out there and see the different stuff and see why people have interest in different items. Here's our bunny lamp. Again, $203 on this bunny lamp. Okay, so we around 10. So this one was 25. But hey, we had this lamp for no time and it sold for $203. Here's the Magnus organ, 69. Again, we only had $5 or $6 into this, like $5.95. So we had into this. There you go if you want to see that again. Again, this had a little bit of damage, but it did not end up mattering to the buyer. Again, something big like this might scare some people, so it's really up to you. I know a lot of people like to work in smalls, and it depends on what kind of space you have to store it. We run it mostly out of our basement, which we've equipped with shelving and a bunch of different totes and lighting and dehumidifier to keep all the stuff down there clean and working right. This is again the Stone Cold Steve Austin T-shirt, $94. This was a Goodwill buy. We only had $2.45 into. Anytime you see these 90s wrestling T-shirts, definitely go ahead and pick those up. This one again didn't even have its tag. Ended up mattering to the buyer. $2.45 in, and we sold it for $94. We did drop the price. Again, I think that we could have held at that price if we really wanted to, but again, that's still an awesome flip for us. Cassandra Beagle, $5 in, $81 out. Anytime you see signed pieces, it's definitely worth looking up the artist's name. You're going to be out there anyways. And this is another one that if it might be on you if you want to do something like this, because it is something that has the potential for breaking. Excuse me, my alarm going. But it does have the potential to break. You know, it's not like clothing, it's not like sweatshirts or something like that, you know, where it's probably not going to break in inventory or during shipping. But the margins on it were good. We're about $6 in or so, and we got 81 out of it. Lamp, again, this is something that could break. You know, it could break, it could chip, you could lose, but if your margins are there, you know, we had, again, you know, I think $6.99 into this lamp, so $7 or so into this lamp, and 48 hours, and we sold it for $175. So it didn't sit in inventory very long, and the longer you do it, the better you'll get at shipping. You'll learn how to use your shipping supplies better. You'll learn how to box inside a box to make sure things aren't clinking against one another and breaking. I mean, we've broke a couple things, but we've lived and we've learned, and we've got a pretty good grasp on it now. Again, $7 into this to $175 in a 48-hour flip. That's really great. Those are good margins. It's a great turnaround. This truck, little diecast toy trucks again. Again, this one had a rear view mirror on the opposite side, or side mirror, whatever you want to call it, that ended up being broke on it. But we had $10 into it. We got 90 out of it. Minolta. Again, I'm no camera expert, and there are a lot of cameras out there, so just go ahead and run your comps, put the brand in, put the model in. You know, if you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. I don't get in too deep on cameras, as far as I don't want to pay too much for them. But this one had good comps, and the lens also, I think, had comps. So I think at one point we figured we could sell the body and the lens if we wanted to. Kept them together. I think I have $3 in this or $4 into this, and we ended up selling it for $86. And again, this is from our bundle that we bought. Old vintage sweatshirts. And I have to do the math and the breakdown, but $52, if we got $52 out of all 30 something sweatshirts, we well into our profit margin there. So there you go. There you have it. This is what sold in May for over $50. We're going to try to do some more of these what sold videos. We're going to try to just keep it to the more high-end items for now, just so people can see what might be out there and what they may be interested in picking up for themselves. We're going to continue to show you a little bit of what we do, and again, it's kind of that mile wide, inch deep kind of knowledge, trying to look at everything, turn over every rock, kind of be out there and gain this knowledge. So hopefully you can gain some of this knowledge with us, and happy hunting. We'll see you. I think my favorite is probably the bunny lamp, because this one, we just made so much money on it, and two, it's just so funny. Who would have thought, you know? I mean, I'd seen some of the lamps before, so I knew when I saw what to pick it up, and it worked out really well for us. There he is. What a look, right? And then outside of the bunny lamp, I really like the boxer, and this is always good, just because anytime you can turn $3 into 90, you know you're doing something right. All right, thanks again. Happy hunting.